It's a three-part playoff mission for New Orleans. Beat the Falcons, then watch and hope that the Eagles and the Rams both lose. And for the first time in their history, the New Orleans Saints have sold out all of their home games here at the Louisiana Superdome. Today is no exception as they play host to their rivals, the Atlanta Falcons. Here's the story in the NFC Western Division. Now, if the Saints beat the Falcons today, the 49ers will clinch the division title. They play the Rams later this afternoon. Now, the Saints can make the playoffs, but it gets a bit complicated. First of all, they must beat Atlanta this afternoon. They need some help. They have to hope that Dallas upsets Philadelphia in Dallas and that later on San Francisco surprises the Rams. If all those things happen, the Saints will be in the playoffs and will be in the wild card next week against Minnesota in Minnesota. And good afternoon again, everyone. I'm Dick Stockton along with Dan Fouts. And even though the Saints do have a chance to still make the playoffs, there's a lot of disappointment around New Orleans and their camp because of where the Saints were. They were 7-1 at one point. They are disappointed now, and they don't make any bones about showing it. And Dan, we talked to Jim Mora yesterday, and he doesn't seem that surprised, does he, that the team fell down a bit?
No, he really doesn't. It's so hard for Super Bowl champions to repeat. Well, it's very difficult for playoff teams from last year to repeat also. Mora knew that second half of the season was going to be very difficult. No way he could go 7-1 as he did in the first half.
Now, what kind of a team will Mora's Saints go against with the Atlanta Falcons in their last game?
Well, you see the Falcons, they'll want to accomplish three things today. Number one, they want to win the ball game and accomplish something positive for next season. Number two, they want to get John Settle over the 1,000-yard mark. And number three, they want to find out just exactly what kind of football team they have. One thing for sure is Chris Miller will be their quarterback of the future.
All right, Dan, this is a rivalry. Atlanta leads, but the Falcons have won 3 straight at the Superdome. And Morton Anderson will be kicking off as the Falcons have won the toss. Anderson with a line drive kick. Evan Cooper and Tim Gordon are back. It'll be in the end. Something down there for a touchback. As Dan Fouts mentioned, Chris Miller, the quarterback today and the future for the Falcons. That's how much they think of him. And the defense for the New Orleans Saints changes up front. Frank Warren will be at left end. Jim Wilkes, the nose tackle for Tony Elliott. James Geathers is the right end. The linebackers are Ricky Jackson, Sam Mills, Vaughn Johnson, and Pat Swilling. And in the secondary for the Saints, Dave Waymer and Reggie Sutton are the cornerbacks. And Brett Maxey and Antonio Gibson, the safeties. First down on the 20 for the Falcons. And John Settle on the first carry. Stopped by Pat Swilling. Coming into this one, Settle needs just 42 yards to surpass the 1,000 mark. Rest of the offense, Gerald Riggs and John Settle, pretty potent backfield duo. Stacey Bailey and Floyd Dixon are the wide receivers, and Ken Wisenhunt is the tight end. The offensive line, Mike Ken, Paul Oswald, Wayne Radloff, Stan Clayton, and Houston Hoover. Clayton and Hoover are rookies on the right side. Second down and 8 on the 22 for Atlanta. This time it's Riggs. Going outside, Riggs will get the first down. Crossing the 30-yard line, Reggie Sutton on the stop. Pretty good duo when you have Riggs and Settle back there.
Well, they sure are, Dick. And one of the things you're going to see a lot of today are the Falcons running wide and running wide to the left. You mentioned that Clayton and Hoover are rookies on the right-hand side of the line. Well, arguably their best offensive lineman is Mike Ken, number 78, the left tackle. He will be the guy that will be called upon to provide the running lanes for these great backs.
Falcons have struggled when they are on their first possession. They've scored only 6 points. Incredibly low number. They have a first down on their own 31. First back through is Riggs. Breaks a tackle. Fumbles. And the Falcons recover. Riggs had the first down, but the Falcons will keep it with Houston Hoover making the recovery. And they'll be short of a first down by a yard.
Nice block on the left-hand side here by Oswald and Ken as it's a simple belly play. A big hole here. Riggs gets through it. Let's find out who pops this ball loose here. Brett Maxey with a great head-up tackle and a heads-up play by Houston Hoover falling on that loose ball.
Second down and 1 for the Falcons. We talked about Clayton and Hoover, rookies on the right side. Well, Oswald, free agent in his second year, practically a rookie. So
A lot of inexperience up front for Atlanta. Miller on 2nd and 1 is going deep for Dixon. He was double covered downfield by both Dave Waymer and Brett Maxson.
That's a good call, though. 2nd and short, might as well go for the bomb. A little play action pass there to settle, and then the long pass down the field to Dixon by Miller. Miller wants to throw the ball quite a bit early in this game. He feels that that'll help loosen up his ball club.
And he's excited about playing his first game ever in the Superdome. He feels that he's made his biggest strides in the leadership department. A lot more confidence. He's engineered some upset wins this year. 3rd down and 1 at the 40 for the Falcons. John settles. Stopped short of the first down by less than a yard. Sam Mills was in on the stop for the Saints. He's going to the Pro Bowl. And it'll be 4th down, so Mills will start in the Pro Bowl as he stops settle on 3rd and 1.
Mills playing with a sore knee, also played last week in a situation where a lot of people thought that, especially his coaches, that he was too hurt to play, but he's a tough young man.
Good year for Rick Donnelly, who will be kicking to Lonzel Hill as the Saints defense stopped the Falcons. Hill will let it bounce, and it takes a New Orleans hop, and it'll be down by the Falcons just inside the 30-yard line by Elbert Shelley. A 31-yard kick by Donnelly. So we'll see what the Saints do the first time they get the ball when we return to the Superdome. Bobby Hebert, the quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, and there have been a lot of stories this week. Critics have emerged accusing Hebert of finger pointing because the Saints have not done certain things offensively, and we'll get into that, but there seems to be no real problem among the Saints players. In any event, Bobby, with 19 touchdown passes and 14 interceptions, over 3,000 yards on the year, will lead the Saints first down on their 30-yard line. 2 tight ends. They start out with Brenner and Tice, 2 wide receivers to the right. Ruben Mays, the running back, breaks off tackle and gets a good chunk of yardage out to the 37th. Robert Moore making the stop. The defense for the Atlanta Falcons. Mike Gann, Tony Casillas, and Rick Bryan are the defensive line, and not many practiced. Bruce Williams-Tuggle and Green, and a quick hurry-up offense on 2nd and 3 for the Saints. Hebert's pass is overthrown, intended for Eric Martin. Defending was Bobby Butler. We'll show you the linebackers for the Falcons again, because they'll play a big role defensively. Andre Bruce, the good-looking rookie, Joel Williams, Jesse Tuggle, and Tim Green are the 4. And in the secondary for Atlanta, Bobby Butler and Pro Bowler Scott Case are the corners. Tim Gordon and Robert Moore are the safeties. Jim Mora, the head coach of the Saints, feels that the team might have been getting tired toward the end of the year, particularly at Minnesota when they were routed 2 weeks ago.
Well, he took it easy on them the last couple of weeks, not practicing in pads. Hopes that'll be the answer.
Dalton Hilliard is the running back, 3rd and 3. Hilliard gets the call, and Hilliard may have enough for the first down, and he does. Robert Moore, with help from Greg Brown up front, makes the stop. It'll be a Saints first down.
And that's one of the things we talked about the Saints and what changes they would make as far as their philosophy is concerned. Well, Moore doesn't feel that that's necessary. He's very happy with the way they've controlled the ball this year. They've just run into a couple of good defensive ball clubs the last 3 weeks, the Giants, Niners, and Vikings.
And as you mentioned at the outset, the schedule just really brutal down the stretch. It is a first down for the Saints on their own 41-yard line, scoreless in the first quarter. 11:25 remaining. Buford Jordan and Hilliard back here now for the Saints. Play fake. Hebert trying to get it to Hilliard. He was getting some good pressure up front. Let's check the rest of the offense for the Saints. Mays and Jordan back there. Eric Martin and Lonzel Hill started wide receiver. Hobie Brenner a tight end. And the offensive line, Jim Dombrowski, Brad Edelman, Steve Court, Steve Trapillo, and Bill Kontz, who is now playing right tackle. He replaced Darren Gilbert, who is inactive.
who replaced Stan Brock, who injured his knee earlier in the year. So both offensive lines have had trouble with injuries this year.
And the defensive lines are having injury problems for both sides, too. 2nd and 10 on the 41. Pitch to Dalton Hilliard. Buford Jordan blocking. But the line closed, and good hustle by Tim Green and Joel Williams, the linebackers. Checking some scores. Houston leading Cleveland 3-0. Coming out of the House of Pain to play in the cold weather at the lakefront. Indianapolis over Buffalo 3-0. And as these games move on, we'll mention the significance to you again. Pittsburgh ahead of Miami 7-0.
You don't think that Cleveland wants to have to make 2 trips in a row to that ice front, lakefront stadium there in Cleveland?
That's what the Oilers would have to do if Cleveland wins today. 3rd down and 7 for the Saints. Hebert in the shotgun on his own 44. Marcus Cotton, the rookie from USC, is in the game now, number 51. Hebert's pass is caught by Lonzel Hill, but short of the first down. Tim Gordon, the free safety, made a fine play, preventing Hill from getting the necessary yardage, so it'll be 4th down, and Brian Hansen will come in to kick for the Saints.
It's kind of a confusing type of play to run on 3rd down, where you don't really give your receiver a chance to get the first down with a catch. You're relying on his running ability after he grabs the ball to pick up the yardage for that first down.
Evan Cooper, former Philadelphia Eagle, goes back for the Falcons, and Brian Hansen will kick. With just under 10 minutes remaining in this scoreless first quarter. Long count, hoping the Falcons will jump off sides to give the Saints a first down. It doesn't work, and an end-over-end kick bounces, headed for the end zone. The Saints hustle, but not in time. It'll be a touchback following a 51-yard kick, and the Falcons get their chance again from the 20 when they return to the Superdome. All eyes will be on the terrific running back John Settle, who is aiming to become the first free agent in National Football League history to gain 1,000 yards in one season. He needs 40 yards right now. Settle from Appalachian State.
Well, these two ball clubs played earlier in the year, 2nd week of the season, and the Saints said, gee, after the game, who is that number 44? He's pretty good.
They know now. First down, Falcons on the 20. Settle with Riggs blocking. Picks up close to 5 yards. Pat Swilling on the stop, and Settle told us yesterday that he's working well with Riggs in the backfield because both backs have been blocking effectively for the other one. That's an ideal combination.
Very unselfish attitude by both players. They both realize that if this football team is going to be successful, that they have to have a strong running attack. They both realize that both guys are very talented and they better help each other out.
Gary Wilkins, number 80, has replaced Wisenhunt as the tight end for Atlanta. 2nd down and 5 at the 25. Miller goes for Settle again. Will be stopped short. It'll be 3rd and a couple, and right now for an NFL Today report, let's check in with Brent Musburger in New York. Brent?
Dick, it's the Giants and the Jets, and Paul McFadden with a 31-yard attempt for the Giants. Wide left. Jets and Giants are still scoreless. And in Irving, Texas, Cowboys and Eagles are scoreless. Back to Dick.
All right, Brent, thank you very much. The Eagles, with the Giants lose and the Eagles win, Philadelphia will take the division. Nickel back in there. Van Jakes for the Saints on 3rd down and 4 for Atlanta. Miller with a quick toss. Is trying to go to Gene Lang out of the backfield, incomplete. Coverage by Pat Swilling, and it'll be 4th down, and we'll have our 3rd punt of the game upcoming.
Falcons are really handicapped in 3rd and long nickel situations because they're not a team that has enough healthy wide receivers where they can go with 4 wides. They have to come in with 2 backs. Lang is usually the option type of back. He was the target that time.
Lonzel Hill goes back for the Saints. Donnelly will be kicking from about the 10-yard line. Trying to go for the block was Reggie Sutton. Good kick by Donnelly. Lonzel Hill. Penalty marker is down, and Lonzel Hill is stopped just beyond the 40-yard line. An 18-yard return by Hill following a fine 51-yarder by Donnelly. Michael Reed made the tackle, and Pat Haggerty, our referee today, will explain the penalty flag.
52 yards on the punt by Donnelly.
And it'll be illegal use of the hands against the Saints.
Holding number 24 on the return. First and 10.
First and 10.
Look on the right-hand side of the screen. Number 24 is going to reach out and just pull Calvin Lovell there and give Hill a little bit longer run at it. The Saints had a nice picket line set up that time, but you can see why Milton Mack was grabbing.
People say too bad about a penalty, but that's usually what springs a guy. Saints first down on their 25-yard line with 7:52 remaining in the first quarter. 0-0. Ice in motion on a delay. Dalton Hilliard changes direction nicely. Flag is down. Hilliard will have the first down for the Saints. Gain of 13 yards. Joel Williams on the stop, but a flag back toward the line of scrimmage.
And it's going to be holding against the Saints. Bring this one back. Referee Pat Haggerty called it from his position on the field.
2 straight penalties.
Holding number 60, offense.
It was the center, Steve Court.
The last thing the Saints want to do is give the Falcons the idea that, hey, we're not as good as you are, or that you can beat us, and they're struggling right now. The center, Steve Court, is right in the middle there. He'll reach out and grab Tony Casillas, and that's the reason for the penalty. Big hole there, but now you see why. There's number 60 pulling Casillas down.
They've taken away 2 big plays, an 18-yard return and a 13-yard run because of penalties.
Well, if the Falcons hang in here, get the idea that they can beat the Saints are going to be in trouble because their confidence is at an all-time low.
First down and 20, back on the 15. Here's Dalton Hilliard. Makes the cut and brings it out to the 23. Scott Case making the tackle. It'll be second down and more than 10 yards for the Saints. Their running game has been stopped cold, and a lot of people think the turning point of their problems came in a close loss to the New York Giants a few weeks ago.
The game before that, they absolutely blew out the Denver Broncos before people thought the Denver Broncos weren't as good as they are. And that game against the Giants, they had a lot of opportunities offensively, but they never capitalized any of them, and they lost a 1-point ball game.
A lot of people thought the Saints offense might have been exposed in that game. In any event, it'll be second down and 13 at the 22. No score, 6.5 minutes to play in the opening quarter. Pitch to Dalton Hilliard. He's having a busy quarter, but he'll be nailed for a loss in the backfield by Mike Gann. And the Falcons are playing opportunistic defense. Marion Campbell is their defensive guru, so to speak, and a fine play, and Marion, the head coach.
See, the guy on the far left-hand side of the screen is Claude Humphrey, one of the all-time great defensive ends in the NFL. I hated to see him, old big number 87 coming at me. He is trying to instill his type of attitude in this defensive line for the Falcons. He's done a great job.
Third down and 15 now for the Saints. Just inside the 20-yard line. Marcus Cotton and Greg Brown has joined the front group for the Falcons. 4 wide receivers, 3 on the right side for New Orleans. Hebert stepping up and going deep for Martin, and the ball is knocked away, and it was a fine defensive play. Evan Cooper knocked it down. There were 3 defenders watching Martin downfield.
You might wonder why they put all 3 of their speed receivers on one side of the field. Well, to do this, they are preventing the Falcons from doubling more than just one guy. But the ace in the hole is the free safety in the hole. Watch Cooper come over the top here and really had a play to make that interception.
They're watching Martin a lot more. He's a Pro Bowler. He may not have the best speed on the Saints, but he's their most dangerous receiver. So on 4th down, Brian Hansen will be kicking, and Evan Cooper, who broke up the pass, is back deep for the Falcons. Cooper has a chance for a return here. He muffs it. And the Falcons will keep possession as Calvin Lovell grabs it back at the 35-yard line.
Well, we wonder why Cooper didn't make that interception. Maybe this tells you a little bit about it. His hands aren't too good. Wearing those gloves, he had a little bit of trouble with that punt. Good thing that Cooper is there to cover up.
Gloves indoors. Hayes has a twisted knee, and they expect him to return. Falcons, meanwhile, offensively, have been using a lot of Gary Wilkins, who did not start this game, but had a good week in practice.
Ken Wisenhunt, the regular tight end, has been banged up with a sore foot or leg. Something he'll have to have taken care of in the offseason.
1st and 10 on the 35-yard line. Gerald Riggs trapped. Goes nowhere. Settle couldn't help him there, and good pursuit by the Saints, led by Sam Mills and Pat Swilling.
We talked about the Falcons wanting to run wide and wanting to run to their left side. The problem is that that's where Pat Swilling plays, number 56. He fought off Settle's block that time, allowed the pursuit to catch up.
Saints have played well defensively for most of the season, but they really don't have any killers defensively. They don't have any game breakers, and that's one thing Jim Mora is going to be looking for. 2nd down and 11, a yard loss on the last play. Back to the 34 of the Falcons. Miller dumps it off. Gerald Riggs gets to about the 41-yard line. It'll be 3rd and about 4.5. Pat Swilling and Vaughn Johnson in on the stop. Riggs' knee, which had been banged up, he's had a history of knee problems and surgery, has withstood the test, and he's waited until he was just right to come back, and he has played well since returning.
He missed 7.5 weeks in the heart of the season, and that's one of the reasons the Falcons had so much difficulty there.
3rd down and 4 at the 41-yard line. Chris Miller. With a sprint out, Miller on 3rd down. Penalty marker is down, and Miller is stopped after a gain of 1 by Sam Mills, but there's a flag there. You can see Dave Waymer signaling holding against Atlanta, and that's the call.
One of the dangers with a sprint out type of passing offense, going for it on 3rd and short, is that the blocking angles get very difficult.
Holding, 67, offense, declined, 4th down.
Paul Oswald, the left guard, guilty of holding. Well, there's a story that'll bring cheer to the fans of the Saints. Dallas leading Philadelphia 7-0 in the 1st quarter. Donnelly's getting set to punt. And Lonzel Hill back for the Saints. Saints need a win, and Eagle loss and a Ram loss today in a wild card. Lonzel Hill breaks a couple. And a terrific return by Hill. John Settle, yes, he plays on special teams as well, knocks him out of bounds. A 30-yard return by Lonzel Hill.
And no penalty flag. This time the Saints did it without any holding. Watch the kick-out block here. Toy Cook, and now it's just Hill finding a spot, making a couple of the Falcons miss him, and then Settle showing that he can play on special teams as well, knocks him out of bounds.
That's the longest punt return of the year for Lonzel Hill, and it gives the Saints good field position as they start from their 44-yard line, 1st down.
Donnelly might have outkicked his coverage that time.
No score, 4:18 remaining in the 1st quarter. Screen pass, Eric Martin. He got a couple that time. Bobby Butler defending on the play.
These two teams have played each other for about 20 years now, twice a year. Now it's the 16th game of this season. There aren't many secrets that they have from each other. They know just about every type of passing pattern that each team has, and the Falcons that time read that one quickly and broke it up. Kept it from being a bigger game.
This time, Dalton Hilliard is out wide to the top of your picture. Buford Jordan in the backfield on 2nd down and 6. The ball was snapped. Nobody moved except the Falcons. Tony Casillas quickly jumped, and it'll be against
Ball start, number 60, offense.
Saints.
Move
Steve
the ball.
Port, the center, full tack 5 yards. So the Saints with a penalty-filled 1st quarter for them.
Well, they're playing a little bit tighter than the Falcons. They have everything to gain today and probably everything to lose also. The Falcons come in here they can just play football. And you see a couple of mistakes early, a couple of little bit of problems with the concentration.
Third penalty of the first quarter for the Saints, who now face second down and 11 on their own 43. In their earlier meeting on the second week of the season, the Saints beat Atlanta 29-21 at Fulton County Stadium. Hebert hands off to Buford Jordan. Jordan fights his way through. He's got a first down, and he may go all the way. He's blown dead. The ball is blown dead at the 11-yard line. Bobby Butler made the touchdown-saving tackle. 44 yards for Buford Jordan.
Well, Buford Jordan's thinking about those playoffs. This is an outstanding run. He runs through almost the entire Falcon football team. Ryan misses there. Tuggle misses there. This is Scott Case. He can't bring him down. Then it's Andre Bruce. And if it's not for the great speed of Bobby Butler, Jordan would have been in that end zone.
It is by far the longest rush from scrimmage in Jordan's career. His longest this year had been 7 yards, but this was a 44-yard beauty. And the Saints have a 1st and 10 on the 13 of Atlanta, threatening to score with 3:10 to go in the first quarter. Jordan remains in the backfield. Lonzel Hill comes in motion. Hebert's pass, penalty marker down, and they're going to call interference against Scott Case. Interfered with Lonzel Hill.
I'm not so sure, Dick. This might go the other way also, because it was a pick play by the Saints, and we have 2 flags. 2 maybe differences of opinion in the referees.
One of the officials is signaling a hold. Here's Pat Haggerty. You're right. There are 2 flags down. And 1 call, and that will be against Atlanta.
Holding, 93, defense, first down.
But it wasn't Scott Case.
Number 93 is Andre Bruce. He's working on John Tice here, and he's holding him at the line of scrimmage. That's a good call. Where the ball was thrown was where everybody's attention was, and that's where Scott Case bumped Hill a little bit. He thought the flag was on him.
Saints have really struggled the last 3 games inside the 20-yard line. Let's see what they do on 1st and goal at the 8. Dalton Hilliard is the one set back and double tight end formation. 4 in a row. Hilliard. And Joel Williams comes out of nowhere to make the tackle. There's a penalty marker down as well.
This might be holding against the Saints. Joel Williams made a great play. Nobody held him, that's for sure.
He flew out of nowhere to make the stop on Hilliard.
Really recognized it quickly and found out where Hilliard wanted to go and was there.
The 3rd holding penalty against the Saints here in the first quarter.
Holding, number 82, offense, first down.
John Tice, so a tight end. Tice was interfered with before. He was held, then he held himself.
And justice rules out he was caught the second time.
That's why they have the scales of justice. That's what they mean.
I didn't think justice had anything to do with football, though.
Here's a penalty story, and the Saints have been hurt by them in this first quarter.
Well, they get the great 44-yard run by Buford Jordan, and now they're penalizing themselves, getting pushed back.
First down and 18. 1st and goal, back to the 18. Falcons missed the tackle, and then they made certain that he wouldn't go anywhere, and he is stopped at about the 13 by Tim Gordon and Joel Williams. It'll bring up 2nd and goal.
Eric Martin's had a fabulous year. Here he is, number 84 at the top of the screen. He's going to run a delay route, wait for the inside receiver Hilliard to clear to the corner, then come underneath. The only problem with this is that the Hebert needs 18 yards to get in the end zone. They only picked up about 4 that time.
He has caught 9 yards worth of passes. Martin needing 24 yards today to pass Wes Chandler as the all-time leading Saint receiver in yardage gained. He'll be a reserve on the Pro Bowl team. Second and goal on the 13. Hebert in trouble. Got rid of it in a hurry. Good pressure up front by the Falcons. Tony Casillas, the nose tackle, and Michael Reed.
That's one of the reasons why the Saints have struggled the last 3 games. Teams have been able to get pressure on Hebert, and he has not been able to find his second or third receiver. One of the other problems is that the receivers that he's looking at are not the fastest and the quickest of guys, and they're not getting open either.
Hebert has struggled. He has thrown 7 interceptions in the last 5 games. Now faces a third and goal from the 13-yard line.
Not the best situation for a quarterback. Third and goal from 13 yards out.
Hebert has time. Dalton Hilliard gets in for the touchdown. And the Saints take the lead 6-0.
Hilliard's probably the shiftiest of all the Saints. He is on an option route here from the left side of the screen. He's working against Joel Williams. Beats him right now. Now watch the fortunate bit of football there. He is tackled on top of Robert Moore, but his knee never hit the AstroTurf. He was able to regain his balance and crawl into that end zone.
So Marion Campbell's Falcons are down, and now Morton Anderson will try to add the 7th point. He has missed just 1 conversion this year. Ryan Hansen holding for the kick. It's perfect. Dalton Hilliard with his first touchdown reception of the year, and the Saints lead it 7-0. Back here at the Louisiana Superdome with 1 minute and 21 seconds to go in the first quarter, Dick Stockton and Dan Fouts, and the Saints lead 7-0. Jets in front of the Giants 3-0 in the first quarter. Dallas still in front of Philadelphia by a 7-0 count. And Houston surprising Cleveland. Houston's already in as a wild card. Indianapolis over Buffalo 3-0. Morton Anderson will be kicking off, and back deep for the Falcons, Evan Cooper and Michael Haynes. There's Cooper. Short kick. It'll be Haynes at the 10. And the wide receiver carries it out to the 24. Let's check the wild card story in the NFC. If the teams who figure to win today, or on Monday night, Minnesota playing Chicago in their finale, and Philadelphia against Dallas, they're losing. Minnesota and Philadelphia are in the best shape of getting into the wild card. Giants still can if they lose. 49ers are in the driver's seat to win the division, and the Rams and the Saints, in that order, have opportunities.
Well, I'm glad you're smart.
I didn't say that.
You got it all down, though.
It's a long way to go in this game. First down on the 25. Gene Lang in the game, out of the backfield, and Lang makes the reception and out of bounds at the 30, a gain of 5 that time. Vaughn Johnson, inside linebacker, makes the tackle for New Orleans.
Lang has really helped the Falcons in this part of the game. Their second leading receiver coming into today's ball game. Their leading receiver, well, is another running back, John Settle.
Settle, by the way, has gained 8 yards. He needs 34 for the 1,000 mark. And as Dan mentioned at the top, one of the things that the Falcons want to accomplish today. 2nd and 5 at the 30. Chris Miller with good protection. He has the tight end Gary Wilkins, and a first down at the 40-yard line. Antonio Gibson, the strong safety, on the stop. He's a big fella. Wilkins in a gain of 10.
Well, the Falcons open up with 2 straight passes on this drive. This is just a quick 3-step drop and a flat pattern by the tight end Wilkins. Watch this hit at the end of it, boy. That's a good shot by Antonio Gibson. Big fella to try to knock down, though.
First down for the Falcons with 1:01 remaining in the first quarter. Chris Miller up the middle, and John Settle with a quick burst picks up close to 8 yards. Johnson and Mills on the stop, and so Settle inches closer to the 1,000 mark. As you see, we have under a minute to go in the first quarter.
Oh, we asked him yesterday, how many yards you need, John, for that 1,000 yards? He said, oh, between 40 and 45. I said, John, how many yards do you need? He said, 42.
He knew.
He knew. He probably knows how many inches he needs.
He needs 27 right now, and he probably knows that too.
Great accomplishment for the young guy.
Second down and 3, and Settle, not that time, got tripped up. Mills was right there, and that'll bring up third and about 2 for the Falcons, and we may have seen the last play of this first quarter. Falcons 5-10 on the year. They came on for a while, won 4 out of 5 before their last 2 losses, and they'd like to finish on a high note.
Well, they would, and this is a rivalry where anything can happen. The Saints and the Falcons.
That's the end of the first quarter.
Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? U.S. Armed Forces, it's a great place to start. And by Miller Genuine Draft, cold filtered draft taste. It's as real as it gets. Miller Brewing is the exclusive beer sponsor of today's telecast.
3. Ball at their 47.
Back at the Superdome as we start the second quarter, Dick Stockton and Dan Fouts in the season finale. The Saints hope it is not the finale for them. They lead Atlanta 7-0. Dalton Hilliard on a 13-yard touchdown reception. The only score. Third down and 3 for the Falcons. The Jets ahead of the Giants 10-0.
Anything can happen when you get your neighbors playing each other.
Hey, after Denver beat New England yesterday, you know anything can happen, and Minnesota losing to Green Bay last week. Chris Miller completes the pass to Gene Lang, and a first down into Saints territory. Vaughn Johnson on the stop. Lang, a former Denver Bronco. Good hands and a first down for the Falcons as they move the ball to the 45 of the Saints.
Lang got a little bit of help on his pass route from Stacy Bailey, who was releasing inside. The man covering Bailey, Reggie Sutton, ran into the man covering Lang, Pat Swilling, and therefore they got the first down.
Falcons have not been relying on the run. The Saints really have not been able to stop the running game in the last 3 games. Saints outrushed them 63-33 in the first quarter. First down and a great head of steam for John Settle. Settle picks up close to 9 yards on a quick burst. Fine acceleration, and Brett Maxey made the tackle.
Getting off on the count was very important for the Falcons this time because number 39, Brett Maxey, was coming on the safety blitz. Well, he ran right by Settle. In fact, you see him working with Sam Mills to make that tackle. But the Falcons got up quick. They got the ball snapped before the safety could become a factor.
That's what he needs for 1,000. Second down and 1 on the Saints 36. Miller swings it out to Lang. Lang will have the first down, and he claws his way to the 32-yard line. James Geathers making the tackle for the Saints, and another Atlanta first down. The Saints have had to change things up defensively. Tony Elliott, their nose tackle, on injured reserve with a groin injury. Jim Wilkes has moved from end to nose tackle, and James Geathers starting today. And Dwayne Board, the former 49er, came up with an ulcer, and he is inactive for this game.
Yeah, and then you got Bruce Clark, who's complaining in the newspapers about not getting enough playing time. He's working on a bad arthritic knee.
First down for the Falcons on the Saint 32, early second quarter. Miller has the pass batted down at the line by Ricky Jackson. Miller had hit 5 passes in a row before that one.
Ricky Jackson is going to come straight in on Miller after he gets rid of the block of Gary Wilkins, gets his hands up, and there's just no chance for Miller on this one. But Chris did say that he felt that it was important for the Falcons to throw the ball in this ball game, not rely on Settle and Riggs, and so far he's done a pretty good job, especially in this drive.
Out of the University of Oregon, the same school that my partner attended. Second down and 10 at the 32 of the Saints. On the draw play, Settle gets tripped up and gets something out of very little as he makes it close to the 30-yard line. Ricky Jackson put the seal on him there. Mills had first missed the tackle on Settle.
Jackson had a great game about 2 years ago against these Falcons where he got picked up 4 sacks. He's a Pro Bowl player. One guy that figured to go back to the Pro Bowl this year, but it turns out that it's Sam Mills will make that return trip.
With 7 sacks, Ricky Jackson leads the club, and as he was saying that, I was hoping he'd had a good game within the last 2 years as well, and he's had. 3rd down and 8, Falcons. Pressure on Miller, and down he goes. Pat Swilling. A loss of 13 yards, and Swilling has now tied Jackson with 7 sacks on the year.
That's healthy competition. Your 2 outside linebackers. There's Swilling. What this sack does is it takes the Falcons out of any chance of kicking a field goal. If that pass had been incomplete, they could have lined up for about a 48-yarder. Now they've got to punt the ball back to the Saints.
So Swilling and Ricky Jackson playing defensive end positions when their linebacking spots have helped. And on 4th down, Rick Donnelly will have to kick it away, and Lonzel Hill goes deep for the Saints. Booming kick, and Hill at the 5. And he's down after a 12-yard return. We'll be back to the Superdome after this.
Sometimes a punt receiver will fake out the coverage man. This is Calvin Lovell. He thinks that Hill's going to let this ball go over his head, seeing that it was inside the 10-yard line. He had a great chance to put Hill away, but he's looking for the ball.
There's Lovell. 2 big defensive plays by the Saints. Atlanta threatened. They were in field goal range. Ricky Jackson batted down a pass, and then Swilling on the big sack. So the outside linebackers were key. 1st down for the Saints on their own 17-yard line. Dalton Hilliard, the lone back. Received from the end zone. Hilliard on the sweep. And a good play by Joel Williams. He's having a fine game thus far.
He saw it from the end zone too, didn't he?
7-0 our score in favor of the Saints. Saints have averaged nearly 6.5 yards, and Atlanta barely a little more than 3.5. And Hilliard, the only score in the game, with his first touchdown reception of the season, and the 20th touchdown pass by Hebert. Jim Mora, he's done a good job, and he's as puzzled as anyone else as to why the Saints have faltered. 2nd down and 10 on the 17. 11:35 to go in the 1st half. Hebert with a short pass. Hilliard out of the backfield. Hilliard has the 1st down. He had it, gave ground, and then the extra effort. 13 yards. Mike Gann on the stop. He's having a busy day, Hilliard.
Saints are finding a lot of success working with him out of the backfield. Number 21 will come out. The Saints are in or the Falcons rather, are in a zone coverage. This is a great juke on Robert Moore. In fact, Moore is still down on the turf. Hilliard very hard to bring down, having an outstanding afternoon.
There's an injured Falcon on the field, and it's Robert Moore, the strong safety who missed the tackle on Hilliard. And while they tend to Moore, we'll take a break here at the Superdome with 11:14 to go in the 1st half. 7-0 Saints. Robert Moore is shaken up on the Falcons sideline, and he'll be replaced by Elbert Shelley. First and 10 for New Orleans on their own 30-yard line. Dalton Hilliard is to the bottom part of your screen. Jordan in the backfield. They fake, and Hebert has some time, and he's going for Hilliard. He was open. Pass just led him a bit too much. Elbert Shelley was covering on the play.
Smart play by the Saints. They're going after the new guy in the lineup. Shelley just replaced Robert Moore, and that ball is just a little bit shorter. Dalton Hilliard's in the end zone. One thing that Mora talked about, we asked him, why are you losing these games? What has happened this year? He says, I don't know. But I tell you one thing I've learned this year, because of the losing season, it really gives you an idea of what your players are all about. They went 12-3 last year. Sometimes you get caught up in winning, and you really don't find a lot of the little flaws. Well, one thing he's pleased with this year is he's helped himself as a head coach.
2nd down and 10 here for Jordan. with a good run, crosses the 40-yard line and may have a first down, and he does for the Saints. Gain of 11. Jesse Tuggle brought him down. Jordan gained 44 yards on a play earlier.
Jordan hasn't carried the ball a whole lot this year, but this is now 55 yards in just 2 carries. This is a counter tray or the counter gap type of play, and Jordan gets in behind Dombrowski and Edelman, 2 good guys to get in behind.
Jets still lead the Giants 10-0, and Philadelphia is on the scoreboards, but still behind Dallas 7-3. They're going to measure to see whether Jordan has the first down, and he does. 10 minutes and 25 seconds remaining in the first half. Saints lead 7-0. First quarter pass from Hebert to Hilliard, 13 yards to account for the score, but it was set up by a Buford Jordan 44-yard run, which is as nifty as you see all year.
Broke about 6 tackles on the way down inside, deep inside the Falcon territory there. Outstanding play.
First down on the 40. Hebert never had a chance, and Tim Green came storming in. He's playing a lot of down linemen today. He's a linebacker, and Hebert looks like he's shaken up. Hit hard on the 8-yard loss and a sack by Green.
Well, they're going to try and fake this quick screen out to the wide receiver and send him deep. Here's the pump fake, but you got to have protection. The Tim Green is right now on Hebert, and that might have hurt his right knee. He is shaken up out on the field. Tough guy, though, doesn't want to come out of the lineup, but if he does, Dave Wilson is his backup, and he's getting loose.
The report on Robert Moore is that he has a sprained knee and may not return into the defensive backfield for the Falcons. Second down and 18 following the sack. And the give is to Dalton Hilliard, and he's going to be run down by Andre Bruce. The Falcons feel very good about themselves as far as the young players coming up, including Andre Bruce, who Marion Campbell said will be something special, and that includes Marcus Cotton, who's been hurt lately.
Well, Bruce was really Campbell's special project this year. The one thing that Marion Campbell loved to see all year long is that Bruce was trying very hard, he worked hard, and he took corrections as he played. He was thrown into the lineup. He didn't have a chance to sit back and study somebody else. He got right in there at the very beginning, and a lot of those corrections were coming from the head guy.
He threw him into the breach. He says, if he's going to be mad at anyone, it should be me. 3rd and 19. Saints on their 31. 4 wide receivers. Hebert's pass. He was going for Lonzel Hill, and Tim Gordon was covering on the play, and I noticed Marcus Cotton really took off on a dime, and a lot of fans might have thought he was offside on that snap.
Really got off quick and put some pressure on Hebert, but one of the real liabilities of the Saints is that they do not have the speed or the niftiness in their wide receivers. The Falcons that time played a man-to-man coverage, even though it was 3rd and very, very long.
Brian Hansen will kick. Evan Cooper goes back for the Falcons. Brett Perriman is the fastest wide receiver. We haven't seen him yet for the Saints. Good kick by Hansen. Fair catch called for by Cooper, and it took a big hop for the Falcons, and it was down by Vaughn Johnson before it almost got to midfield. 29-yard kick. Well, next Saturday, beginning at noon Eastern Time, CBS Sports presents the John Hancock Sun Bowl as the Alabama Crimson Tide, making their 29th bowl appearance in the last 31 years, go against the Cadets. Army and Alabama. That's an interesting matchup.
Yeah, it is. A great game that Army had against Navy back there in Philadelphia. We saw a little bit of that one.
What a great weekend that is. Anyway, Alabama Army, John Hancock Sun Bowl, Saturday at noon Eastern. First down on the 39 of the Falcons. 7-0 Saints. Miller will throw up first down, swings it out to Gerald Riggs. Reggie Sutton was right there to make the play.
Number 42, Gerald Riggs. Reggie Sutton leads the defensive charge.
The Atlanta Falcons have had a horde of running backs well, 3 who have made the Pro Bowl.
But look at all the years they've been there.
That's
about
right.
9 years as Settle continues the tradition. William Andrews, of course, one of the all-time great ones. And Gerald Riggs has really picked up where he left off, and now Settle looks like he's ready to carry the man.
Everyone feels that both of these backs, all of these backs that they've had, could do everything. Here's Riggs, gets by one defender, and Riggs fights his way to the 44-yard line.
Brought down by Bruce Clark.
Here's the time remaining in the first half.
It'll
be third down.
It's third.
Falcons playing indoors for the first time since their opening game of the year against the Detroit Lions.
Well, John Settle, this is his first time indoors in a pro game. He did play in college, though, when Appalachian State played East Tennessee at the Mini Dome. Capacity there, 16,000. A little bit of difference here, huh, Dick?
Try to get in. They wouldn't let me. We're all sold out. 3rd and 5 for the Falcons. Gene Lang is in the backfield as a receiver. And Settle can't hold on to this pass. Incomplete. And so the Falcons come up empty again, and Donnelly will come in and kick it away.
Both teams relying on their running backs as receivers out of the backfield. The only problem when it's 3rd and about 7, very difficult for that guy to make the grab out of the backfield and then pick up the yardage for that first down. They're really not challenging their opponent's defenses with their passing offense.
Lonzel Hill goes back. Donnelly kicking for the 5th time. Low kick. It stops, and it is quickly down by Calvin Lovell of the Falcons. A 31-yard kick. We're at the Louisiana Superdome and a sellout crowd here in New Orleans for the final regular season game of the season here. The Saints lead the Falcons 7-0. Hebert to Dalton Hilliard for the only score, 7:40 remaining. Dick Stockton and Dan Fouts. Saints at one time had a 7-1 record, second best record in the NFL, and now they're fighting for their lives. They need to win and help. Tell you one thing, these kids don't know anything about wild cards and different combinations, do they?
They do know what a week from today is, though, I guarantee.
First down. Hilliard. Changing direction. And a great run, and a penalty marker is down as well. Dalton Hilliard with a 36-yard scamper. Tim Gordon on the stop and a flag.
They're going to get Tim Gordon for unnecessary roughness or unsportsmanlike conduct. But this play starts off to the left, and Hilliard...
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 41, defense, will add on 15 yards.
Yeah, you will. 51 yards total here. Watch how Hilliard comes all the way back to the left. He gets around Elbert Shelley now. Now it's a foot race, but now at the end of this play, watch Gordon hit him right across the chops there with the left hand. That guts him another 15 yards. There it is right there. That adds that play up to about a 51-yarder.
That's exactly right. Costly penalty, costly run. And Dalton Hilliard now, who's been a busy man, has scored the touchdown, has already carried 7 times. Comes out, Buford Jordan is the lone back with 2 tight ends. 1st and 10 for the Saints on the Falcon 24. Jordan, continuing his good running in this game, gets inside the 20. And right now for an NFL Today update, here's Brent Musburger. Brent?
Dick, 2nd and goal for the Philadelphia Eagles. They were just penalized 10 yards for holding. Cunningham is back. Rookie tight end Keith Jackson is open. It's a touchdown. And the Eagles lead the Cowboys for the first time. Jets are held to a field goal. It was 1st and goal, but they still lead the Giants by 13. Back to Dick.
All right, Brent, thank you very much. And so the Eagles could be looking at a possible division title.
One interesting thing, here in the Superdome, they haven't announced those scores, especially that Eagle-Dallas score.
2nd and 3 on the 17-yard line. Here's Dalton Hilliard. And it's Mike Gann.
You wonder if Jim Mora has anything to do with that, not letting his players know exactly where they stand, because if the Eagles do win, the Saints are out. And if the players find out that the Eagles are winning, it may affect the way they're playing. It may affect their concentration on the field.
Last week, a different philosophy. Mike Ditka wanted to know what was going on with the scoreboard. At Soldier Field, they gave the scores of the Viking-Packer game, and it all worked out well for the Bears.
Different attitude of two different head coaches. One's very aggressive, one's kind of conservative.
Saints with a 3rd down and 4 on the Falcon 18. And we have a stoppage of play for the moment. It's not a clock problem. It doesn't appear to be. The clock had run down. We have no idea what the holdup is, but Pat Haggerty will tell us. I haven't the foggiest.
Well, this is a very embarrassing situation because we can't tell anybody what's happening. The referees aren't even going to tell anybody in the whole stadium, maybe.
Play stands as ruled. You 30 seconds.
Well, news to us. We did not know they were looking at a replay.
Or what they possibly could be looking at.
There's no problem with the clock. He said the play stands as ruled. So we'll let it go at that. So it'll be 3rd down and 4 on the 18. 4 wide receivers. In the shotgun is Hebert. Hebert's pass is picked off. And an interception by Scott Case, his 10th of the year. That's an all-time Falcon record, and Scott Case, having a brilliant year, headed for the Pro Bowl, ends the threat with a fine interception.
One thing you ask about Scott Case is how do you get so many receptions or interceptions? Here he's working on Eric Martin. This ball is thrown late, but you see Case make the break on the ball and then make the catch. A lot of defensive backs don't have the good hands. Case obviously does, his 10th of the year.
And the 24th of the year for the Falcons. Actually, they have 7 more than the Saints.
Would have been a great race if he could have stayed in bounds. He might have gone about 80 yards for a touch. The ball's just thrown behind him, and there's nothing but green grass or green plastic grass in front of him.
Falcons get it back. 1st down on their 28. John Settle gets a couple of yards. Clock under 5 minutes remaining in the 2nd quarter. Saints lead at 7-0. Ricky Jackson and Sam Mills made the stop on John Settle, who told us last night that the fact that he's going to be in the Pro Bowl has not really sunk in, and I kind of believe that.
You know, you really don't realize what it's all about until you get to Hawaii and you get in that first team meeting and you look around the room and there are the very best in all of football sitting in that room with you. Great honor for him.
Including a youngster from Appalachian State who no one drafted. 2nd down and 8. Miller is going deep for Stacey Bailey and overthrew him. Falcons are pleased that Bailey and Floyd Dixon, who had been injured a good part of the year, are back. That's been one of their trouble spots.
It really has been. They've had a lot of problems with their offense because of their pass protection. Miller's missed a few games with a bad ankle, got knocked out last week against the Rams. And as you said, Dick, Bailey's been out. His first game back in a while was last week against the Rams. And Floyd Dixon, the other wide receiver, starting wide receiver, is playing with a very sore cheek. He fractured it about 6-7 weeks ago.
Brings up 3rd and 8. Falcons on their 30. Miller tipped and nearly intercepted by Sutton. Vaughn Johnson got his hand on it, and Reggie Sutton very nearly came up with the ball. It'll be 4th down.
The key to this is a good pass pressure on Miller. He has to step up in the pocket, not allow enough time for this play to develop. He gets kissed, and now the ball is up for grabs there. About 4 or 5 Saints had a chance for it. Sutton laid out, couldn't quite bring it down.
Good pass rush by Swilling on that play. So the 6th punt coming by Rick Donnelly on 4th down. Lonzell Hill is deep for the Saints. Great kick by Donnelly. High, makes the play. Tim Gordon made sure that Hill was not going to get ahead of steam. A 43-yard kick by Donald. To the Superdome, the Saints still lead 7-0. 4:01 remaining in the first half. New Orleans with the ball again. Bobby Hebert with a touchdown pass and an interception. Eagles leading Dallas. Houston over Cleveland. 3 tight end alignment for the Saints on first down on the 35. Greg Scales is the 3rd tight end. Walton Hilliard has a first down. Terrific running for Hilliard, who was obviously looking for the daylight all the way, reading. Picks up 11 yards before Gordon and Case make the tackle.
Very patient running for Dalton Hilliard as he gets in behind Trapillo, the number 65 there. And now watch, he disappears. Oh, there he is. But the Saints are having an outstanding afternoon running the ball, and I wouldn't be surprised if they don't stick with this 3 tight end set and run it some more.
Hilliard coming in as the leading rusher for the Saints. Saints have already rushed for 125 yards, looking for more as Hilliard, with another great exhibition, picks up still another first down for the Saints. Elbert Shelley on the stop. Hilliard is almost a one-man gang offensively for the Saints in this first half, even though offenses have not dominated.
I think he likes playing against the Falcons. Had an outstanding game the first game of the year, and today he's just picking his way, making the guy miss, kind of just sliding around there, and the next thing you know, he's moved the ball 10, 15 yards down the field.
We told you the Saints have over 135 yards, 72 of them on the ground this quarter. First down in Falcon territory with the 44. And the ball is popped up and grabbed by Bobby Butler. Buford Jordan fumbled it, and it came right into Bobby Butler's hands. An early Christmas present, you might say, for Butler.
Well, they took Hilliard out and let Jordan run this play. Watch the hit from behind and in front there. The ball pops right up to Butler, and he trips over a couple of bodies, or he might have made it all the way in for the score.
Saints coughed it up 4 times the last time they played the Falcons, even though they won.
Good job there from behind by Mike Gann and Rick Bryan, and Tony Casillas hit him from the front. The ball just popped up right into Butler's hands.
2 turnovers. The Falcons did not take advantage of their first opportunity. Here they have the ball at midfield on first down. John Settle up the middle, picks up 5 yards. James Geathers on the stop as we get close to the 2-minute warning. Less than 2.5 minutes to go in the first half.
Really important for the Falcons to convert on this turnover. Excellent field position at midfield, a lot of time to go. And they could use the score going into halftime to give the Saints something to think about.
He'll get off another play before the 2-minute warning. Settle on the pitch, cuts inside, and he gets a couple. It'll be 3rd and short for Atlanta. Brett Maxey and Jim Wilkes on the stop. And with 1:57 remaining in the first half, our 2-minute warning is here. We'll be back to the Superdome in just a moment.
But this is a nice fake to Riggs, and watch how the linebackers bite on it. Vaughn Johnson didn't because he was going with John Settle. He fights off the block and forces Miller out of bounds.
First down for the Falcons.
Chris Miller's a great athlete. He's could have played a little pro baseball. He's got a 3 handicap in golf. Somebody I don't want on that golf course.
Riggs for a couple. That's first down. Well,
Sam Snead says in partner golf, always pick the best partner, regardless of local knowledge, handicaps, or anything like that. Chris would be my partner.
Well, that's because you both went to Oregon. Second down and 8 will be coming up. Clock running, 1.5 minutes to go. And as you mentioned, if the Falcons can come away with even 3 points following that Saints fumble, they'll be pleased.
And then you know that the Saints will go in the locker room and they'll find out from somebody, some way, that the Eagles are beating the Cowboys.
Timeout called by Atlanta. The Eastern, the Utah Jazz play host to the 2-time defending world champion Los Angeles Lakers from the Salt Palace in Salt Lake City. The great Karl Malone for Utah, Magic Johnson and company for the Lakers. That's Winterfest, followed by the NBA, Christmas Day on CBS. And I'll be in Utah after a few days of skiing. Chris Miller throws the ball away. Settle was the intended receiver, and Pat Swilling was downfield with him. It'll bring up a 3rd and 8 on the 31.
Jim Wilkes got good pressure on Miller. Miller, seeing that he couldn't get the ball to Settle, wisely threw it out of bounds. One of the real problems that the Saints have had all year is pass rush out of their defensive line. Only 8 sacks from their defensive linemen this year.
There's the timeout story with 1:11 to go. It'll be 3rd and 8. Right now for Greg Davis, it would be a long field goal attempt. Miller has hit on only 1 of his last 6 attempts. Here comes the pressure. Dumps it off to Gene Lang. Lang will have the first down and knocked out of bounds. A one-handed catch, I believe, by Lang, and a penalty marker thrown. We may have a roughness penalty tacked on after the play against the Saints. Brett Maxey was on the stop. Or a face mask.
Personal foul, face mask.
Somebody give him a number.
Any number.
Half the distance to the goal line. First down.
That's good enough. I've never agreed with that, identifying the guys that are the culprits. But this is a great job by Miller, number one, getting it off. Tremendous pressure from the Saints. Now watch the grab by Lang. Good block by Mike Ken. Gets inside. Radloff's down the field. And there's the penalty. It looks like it's Gene Atkins will reach out and grab Gene Lang.
So a big 3rd down play, and now the Saints with their backs to the wall on 1st and goal at the 9 for the Falcons with 1:03 showing on the clock. Bruce Clark, who wanted to play more, number 75, is in there now on the defensive line for the Saints. John Settle hit immediately, and it was Vaughn Johnson. Under a minute to play now. The Falcons still have 2 timeouts remaining.
One thing the Falcons want to do is keep the Saints from having any time left on the clock when they get the ball back.
They have gone scoreless touchdown-wise in the last 9 quarters. That offense, the defense got them to score against the Rams in their 22-7 loss last week. 2nd and goal on the 10, loss of a yard. Miller under pressure, fires it away, and a great rush by Ricky Jackson, who had batted down a Miller pass earlier in this 2nd quarter. So the defense putting on terrific pressure for the Saints now.
You got to wonder about the play-action pass there. Who are they trying to fool with the run in that situation? Let's just go back in the pocket, give the quarterback time to throw, and let him work down the field. Miller has to worry about faking the ball on the run. Now he's getting pressure right now in his face from Ricky Jackson and just had to throw the ball away.
3rd and goal on the 10 with 24 seconds remaining in the first half. Michael Haynes, the wide receiver, goes out wide to the left.
Saints have called timeout.
And it's their first. So the Saints now with 2 timeouts remaining.
And that was a timeout that wasn't really to save any time. There was confusion out there on the part of the defense.
Coming up at halftime, Brent, Irv, and Dick will have all the scores and highlights and a look back at some of the plays of the year from the unforgettable to the unbelievable. That's all coming up at halftime.
There have been a few unforgettable and unbelievable plays. Not all of them good either.
Those are the unbelievable.
You see Ricky Jackson's got his Christmas haircut. He's ready to go.
All right, 3rd and goal at the 10. Field goal attempt if they don't make it here. What would be a good play for the Falcons, you think?
Well, you wonder about Gary Wilkins, the tight end. He's not in the lineup now, so I guess we don't have to worry about him. So let's put our attention on Gene Lang out of the backfield, number 33.
Miller. And Dave Waymer knocks the ball away. Jesse Hester was the intended receiver, and Dave Waymer saved the score with a fine play in the end zone. It'll be 4th down.
Saints had double coverage on Hester this time, but Waymer does a nice job of keeping him from releasing to the outside so his safety can come over and help. But obviously he doesn't need any help because that ball is just a little bit underthrown, or it might have been a touchdown.
So the Falcons will settle for 3 if they can get it. He has slumped the last 7 games. Greg Davis, 6 of 17. This will be a 27-yard attempt. And the kick is good. So Marion Campbell, who has done a fine job trying to rebuild this Atlanta Falcon team, and teams around the league are wary of what Atlanta can become. Falcons on the board, trailing now 7-3 with 16 seconds to go in the first half.
Very conservative play calling on the part of the Falcons to get that lead that led to that field goal. A couple running plays. They really never challenged the Saints defense down the field with the pass.
The big play, 3rd down and 8, when Lang caught a 13-yard pass and then was hit with a foul half the distance to the goal, but the Saints defense held. There's Carl Smith, who's standing next to Jim Mora. Saints are trying to break a 3-game losing streak, and the Falcons have lost their last 2. Let's update you with some scores. Jets still have it over the Giants, 13-0. Now here are the rest. Keep in mind that unless the Eagles and Rams lose this afternoon, or the Rams playing tonight against the 49ers, a New Orleans victory will not give them a playoff berth. Davis will kick off, and back deep, Gene Atkins. Flanked by 2 others. Atkins at the 10. Stays on his feet, and with 10 seconds to go, down by Evan Cooper. So the Saints have 10 seconds to go, and Hebert has his instructions.
Hebert's coming on the field a little bit gimpy there. You saw he got hurt earlier in the game. His right knee seems to be giving him a little bit of problem, and that could be more of a problem as the game develops in the second half, because that's the plant leg for the quarterback. That's the leg he has to push off to get anything on the ball. But the Saints aren't going to take any chances, are they, Dick?
Well, they've already turned the ball over twice, and they don't want to take any chances of a 3rd time. Crowd always wants you to go for the long bomb, and Jim Mora will go into the dressing room with a 7-3 lead, and only he knows if he's content. That's the end of the first half with the score. Goes by Dalton Hilliard. Passing yardage just about even in the turnovers. The Falcons could not get a touchdown with 2 turnover tried by the Saints.
131 yards rushing all in the first half. The Saints came into today's game averaging 122 for the an entire ball game this year. So they are having a lot of success. Buford Jordan, of course, is helping Hilliard out a great deal, but Jordan also had that key fumble at the end of the first half that led to the Falcons' 3 points.
Saints will get their hands on the ball first in the second half. Greg Davis will kick off. He has accounted for the Falcon points with a field goal. There's Gene Atkins, who's back there along with Eric Martin. And in the end zone, it'll be Atkins running it out. And it takes Primus and Gordon to stop Atkins at the 23-yard line. Let's take a look at the first half possessions by the Saints, and you can see the interception and the fumble. They turned it over twice there.
And back-to-back possessions, too. That really hurt them.
And they scored when they had their best field position when they began from their own 44.
It's usually the way it works. It makes the field a little bit shorter.
Bobby Hebert in the first half completed 5 of 12 for 40 yards. His longest completion was 13. That was the touchdown pass to Dalton Hilliard. 1st and 10 on the 23-yard line by the Saints. Dalton Hilliard, leading rusher in the game, turns the penalty marker down. 3 of them to be exact. I think they have any more. And Hilliard is out of bounds at about the 30.
Well, for sure, 3 guys all saw the whole thing.
Holding.
That's the 4th holding penalty against the Saints. That's not the way you'd like to start the second half, or for that matter, first half.
it really sets the Saints back in their own end, and with their conservative type of offense, the one thing they don't want to do is get into a predictable situation where they got to throw the ball every down.
6 penalties to 2. As we mentioned, 4 of the 6 have been holding calls against the Saints. They will start from their 13-yard line following that first play. 1st and 20 for the Saints. End zone look as the Saints break the huddle. Hilliard coming out into the wing. And on a reverse, it's Dalton Hilliard. And Joel Williams wraps him up at the 19-yard line. Gain of 6. 2nd and long. How has Atlanta improved defensively? We'll just see. The first 9 games, they allow 27 points a game. Only 10 points have teams average against Atlanta's defense in the last 6 games. That despite a lot of injuries.
Well, just 5 touchdowns there, so you can see that Marion Campbell's philosophy is starting to take hold on a lot of their young players, especially Andre Bruce.
And 5 defensive starters had no camp when the season began. 2nd and 14 for New Orleans. Hilliard beats Brown, and a good penetration that time by Tony Casillas. Tony Casillas did not practice much this week, had a back injury. They didn't know if he could play, and he quickly was in there to nail Hilliard for a loss.
As a matter of fact, only one of their regular defensive linemen, Greg Brown, practiced all week, so they had to fill in with a couple of linebackers. Tim Green and Marcus Cotton, and Bruce had to play a little defensive lineman in practice. You know they appreciate the fact that Brian Casillas and Gann are back for this ball game. No way they want to get down in that 3-point stance all day.
3rd down and 16. Saints with 4 wide receivers in the shotgun. They're back on their own 17-yard line. The Falcons may have been drawn off, and Jim Dombrowski exchanging pleasantries with Marcus Cotton.
False start, number 72, offense.
You know, Reuben Mays, who started the game for the Saints, twisted his knee, and now they say he will not return to the game. And it's a good thing that the Saints have depth in the backfield, because we've seen a lot of Jordan and Hilliard today. Craig Hayward has not played at all, and he's been out.
You wonder about Hayward. He came in as one of the top rookies in the league. Had a great run against the Raiders, but hasn't done much besides that since he's been injured.
They say he has put on some LBS.
He has that tendency. Just to take one look at him, you can tell. A wide body.
3rd and 21. Bear with a big rush, penalty marker down. Hilliard has it. He's got a long way to go to get a first down, but he's tough to bring down, isn't he? And finally, he's nailed at the 12 by Elbert Shelley. It looked like everyone on the Falcons had a shot, but there's a flag back down behind the line of scrimmage. Good pressure by Marcus Cotton that time.
The Saints just look to me like a team that has lost all its confidence, not having a whole lot of success.
Number 72, offense, decline, 4th down.
Not having a whole lot of confidence. They can't even protect their quarterback, and then their quarterback isn't looking down the field. Everything he's throwing is to his running backs. There you see the pressure by Joel Williams, and Dombrowski with the right hand gets flagged for the holding penalty.
So Dombrowski called for 2 plays in a row holding. It's 4th down, and kicking from the end zone will be Brian Hansen. Evan Cooper standing at midfield for the Falcons. High, fine kick, and a fair catch called for by Evan Cooper. He makes the play at the Falcons' 44, following a 44-yard kick, but the Falcons will have their best starting field position following a punt in the game. We'll update you with the scores, and as the game moves along in the second half, we'll bring you even closer into focus into what all the playoff ramifications are. Jets lead the Giants 13-7. That could open the door for the Eagles, who leads Dallas 10-7 at halftime. That's bad news for the Saints, even if they win. Houston is ahead of Cleveland. Buffalo leading Indianapolis. That will bury Indianapolis' playoff hopes and the rest. First and 10 on the Falcon 44. John Settle is hit and downed after picking up 1 yard. So now he needs 6 yards for 1,000 on the year. Bruce Clark made the tackle.
One thing for the Falcons, you notice that none of their receivers, their wide receivers, have caught any balls today. Their entire game plan is centered around getting the ball to Settle and Riggs and Lang, either on the ground or through the air with short passes.
He now needs, they say, 5 yards. It says 6. Give him 5 now for 1,000. They credit him with 2 yards on that carry. Second and 8. Miller has Riggs out of the backfield, and Riggs dives forward and may have the first down. Maybe close enough for a measurement as well. Sam Mills and Vaughn Johnson, the inside linebackers, on the stop. But they're in Saint territory now.
Now you wonder about Riggs on the end of that play. Looked like he made the wrong decision by cutting to his left after he caught that ball, but he showed you the power that he has as a running back out of the backfield. Leaned forward and stretched and got the first down with second effort.
And we talked about the problems that the Falcons have had at wide receiver. Stacey Bailey has re-injured his shoulder, and he's out of the game. Meanwhile, the Falcons with a first down on the Saints 45. John Settle, they can Riggs. Riggs gets to the 40. If it had been Settle, we'd be cheering him right now, but it's for going over 1,000. But Riggs is brought down by 3 Saints. There's the time. We're in the third quarter, and the Saints lead 7-3. The only touchdown of the game was a 13-yard pass, Bobby Hebert to Dalton Hilliard in the first quarter.
You wonder what type of team the Falcons will have when they get everybody healthy next year and get guys back in their lineup like Higdon and Sylvester Stamps and get a healthy offensive line.
Here's Settle. And Settle gets down close to first down yardage to the 36-yard line. He picks up 4 yards that time and now needs 1 yard to get 1,000, and it's a safe bet to think that John Settle, headed for the Pro Bowl, will get that mark today.
The qualification on the record is that it's an NFL record. A couple of guys back in the AFL by the name of Paul Lowe for the San Diego Chargers and Clem Daniels for the Oakland Raiders were both free agents, and they both gained over 1,000 yards. But since the merger and in the history of the NFL, no other free agent has done that. That's what we're looking at today with John Settle.
Third down and 1 for the Falcons on the Saint 36. And here's Settle, and he falls down, recovers. Penalty marker is down. He does not get the first down yardage. Vaughn Johnson and Jim Wilkes on the stop, and the penalty will be against Atlanta as well. Settle just fell down on his own accord.
Settle's the type of ball player, though, that won't quit while he's on the ground. He got up. Maybe he knows that he needed just a yard. He didn't want to have negative yardage.
Dave Waymer is shaken up for the Saints.
Holding, number 55, offense, still third down.
There's Waymer. Wayne Radloff, the center, was guilty.
There's a look at Settle tripping on the AstroTurf here. Maybe that 40-yard line had a little too much paint on it. It kind of reached up and grabbed him. But there he's still struggling, still fighting. Bad thing about it is that even if he had made it, would have brought it back because of the holding call against Radloff.
Waymer now getting up. He did not start. He had been a starter for several years, lost his starting berth, and came back really with great special teams play. We saw a great play made against Seattle this year, running a touchdown following a block kick, and he fought his way back into the starting lineup.
He's a veteran ball player. He's been to the Pro Bowl. He's got 3 interceptions on the year, and you saw that outstanding play he made on Jesse Hester in the end zone, preventing a touchdown for Atlanta.
Not sure who he'll be pulling for in the Notre Dame West Virginia Fiesta Bowl Classic. Former Irish star.
Yeah, I wonder. Great quarterback, Major Harris. I'm looking forward to watching him play that day.
I will too. 9:25 remaining in the third quarter. Third down and 11. Jackson and Swilling playing defensive end position for the Saints defensively. Miller. Pass caught. And close to the first down. Gene Lang, who's catching everything thrown at him this afternoon, but the Falcons appear to be short by about a yard.
Now the question is, do you go for it on fourth down? Why not? What do you got to lose? You're just going home for Christmas next week anyway.
Jakes and Sutton combine on the stop. They're going to measure it, but from the From the naked eye, looks like they're short with it. Lang has caught 5 passes today for 41 yards.
And that was an option route that time, a little bit deeper down the field than normal. Usually you run those routes at about 5 to 7 yards. Lang was stretched all the way to about 10 yards, and it looks like he came up about just a half a yard shy. I got to believe the Falcons will go for it on 4th down. Their offense is still out on the field. Not even any sign of the punting team. Campbell will want to look to see just how far they need, and this will affect the play call from Coach Rod Dowhauer. And there you see Bruce Clark with his arms wide. He's given Marion a kind of a bad sign there.
Well, the Atlanta Falcons in the last 6 years against the Saints have never failed to convert a 4th down conversion. 13 for 13, and number 14 coming up right here, 4th and less than 1 on the Saints 36.
Now, I'm not superstitious, but there's too many 13s in that graphic for me.
Me too. Settle and Riggs will be the running back, and always be on the lookout for Chris Miller to call his own number as well. And the give is to Riggs. He makes it with ease. Gerald Riggs powers his way to the 33 and a 1st down. Dave Waymer back in the game on the stop. 1st down, Falcons.
Riggs takes the handoff from Miller, and he follows big Stan Clayton and Houston Hoover, the people mover on that right side, and he gets it by a long way.
So now it's 14 out of 14 on 4th down conversions, and Jim Mora now has to rely on his defense, and they've done a good job whenever the Falcons have gotten near the goal line in this game.
And part of that is because of the Falcons' play selection. Very conservative, not really going after the Saints defensive backfield.
1st down on the 33. Settle. Maybe a yard or 2. Pat Swilling came in to make the play. And if it's a yard, that'll be good enough for John Settle. It is for 1,000 on the year.
He might have gone farther if number 56 here, Pat Swilling, doesn't make this play. He gets inside the block of Michael Haynes, and that's an outstanding play by Swilling.
Great achievement for John Settle. First free agent in NFL history to rush for 1,000 yards in a single season. And as you mentioned, when they played earlier in the year, the Saints coaches said, "Who is that 44?" Now everybody knows. 2nd and 9 on the New Orleans 32. Miller's pass. Juggled and caught that time by Wilkins. And the reception is made, not for a lot of yards, as he is out of bounds at the 27. Gain of 5.
Settle's going to the Pro Bowl to join a couple of other pretty good backs, Neil Anderson, Roger Craig, and Herschel Walker. In fact, only Herschel Walker and Roger Craig are ahead of John Settle in the NFC in total yards from scrimmage. So you know the type of contribution he's given this Atlanta team this year.
Shocking score with the Jets, who are out of playoff hopes, leading the Giants 20-7. The Eagles may know the score of that game, and if Philadelphia can win their game, they'll be the division champs afterwards. 3rd down and 3. Riggs stopped short. He missed it by a good 2.5 yards. It'll be 4th down, and with Geathers and Johnson making the stop, field goal time coming up. Philadelphia stretching their lead over Dallas to 17-7. Of course, all this is bad news for the Saints. If the Eagles win, the Saints have no chance. Falcons will try to cut the Saints lead to 1, and Greg Davis in to try a 43-yard field goal. He was good from 27 yards earlier. Holding Chris Miller. Kick is long enough, and the kick is good. So at 6:41 remaining in the 3rd quarter, Greg Davis, who's been in a slump, 2 for 2, and the Falcons now trail the Saints 7-6. Thanks to Greg Davis's 43-yard field goal. 6:41 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Davis will be kicking off to a triumvirate centered by Gene Atkins. He's got Eric Martin and Dalton Hilliard surrounding him. Saints offense really hasn't generated much today. Their defense has kept them in the game.
They've run the ball well on the ground, but their passing attack down the field has been non-existent.
And a couple of turnovers. Kickoff, and it'll be Atkins. A couple of yards in the end zone. Penalty marker down, and Atkins as well tackled at at the 19 by Jesse Tuggle. But a flag down at about the 25.
Holding 55 on the return.
Joe Colbrand was holding. Meanwhile, we want to remind you, coming up on Christmas Day at 2 o'clock Eastern, a special edition of Sports Sunday. CBS presents Winterfest, which is a celebration of winter sports and its athletes, and some great ones being featured. Then at 3:30 Eastern, the Utah Jazz, with new coach Jerry Sloan, play host to the Los Angeles Lakers. The Jazz carried the Lakers to 7 games in the Western semifinals last year. They'll duel again at the Salt Palace, 3:30 Eastern. Winterfest and NBA, big Christmas Day on CBS. Saints starting from their 9. That's their worst starting position of the game. On first down, Dalton Hilliard up the middle. Gets out of trouble to the 18-yard line. And right now, let's check in for an update with Brent Musburger. Brent?
Dick, you gave the score, but let me show you the play now that has the Saints' playoff hopes in jeopardy. Randall Cunningham with a beautiful touch pass, and Mike Quick there. It's a 10-point Eagle lead now. Let's go back to Dick.
Second and 1 at the 18.
All right, Brent, thank you. And a lot of people are not pleased with the Philadelphia lead. The Giants and the Saints, who figure to suffer.
Saints are playing like they know what the score is over there in Dallas.
They do. Second down and 1 on the 18. And on the option pass, Hilliard fires it incomplete. Downfield was Buford Jordan. Tim Gordon was defending on the play. Dalton Hilliard, who threw a touchdown pass last week to Lonzell Hill, 27 yards against the 49ers.
In fact, he's thrown 3 in his career touchdown passes. This ball is just thrown a little bit too late. You see the cornerback, number 37, Shelley, was beat on the play, but that's why you have a safety in the middle of the field, so he can recognize plays. He plays deep. He sees the option pass by the halfback, and Gordon came over and made the play.
And as you said, it's a good play on second and 1. Now it is third and 1. The Saints looking for the yardage. Give it to Hilliard. And Hilliard will have the first down. His forward motion gets him past the 20. Tony Casillas and Michael Reed on the tackle. 83 yards today for Dalton Hilliard, including a touchdown catch. Big day for Hilliard.
Tim Gordon, the safety for the Falcons, had a chance to make 2 big plays in a row, but Hilliard showed us that shiftiness. He just dodged Gordon at the line of scrimmage and picked up the first down.
Clock running, nearly 5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. There's no question, no matter how this game winds up, that the Atlanta Falcons look like they can play with anyone. They've lost the Niners and the Rams the last 2 weeks, but they're a different team.
They play well on the road.
All their big wins have come on the road. Hebert on first down, swings it out to Hilliard. Good balance by Hilliard, regains his footing and picks up about 8 yards. Mike Gann on the stop. Lost his helmet in the process.
Well, we're seeing some great running by the Saints running backs. Hilliard is going to have to make a difficult catch here of this screen pass and then dodge Jesse Tuggle, number 58, who's coming with a full head of steam, keeps his balance somehow, and gets down the field.
They mark it off with a 7-yard pickup. 4 catches for Hilliard, including a touchdown. Second down and 3 for the Saints on their 28-yard line. 7-6, New Orleans leading. Here's Hilliard again, the workhorse. May have the first down. Tuggle and Williams in the middle at the linebacking spot. We're there.
Joel Williams, tackle. Third and 1 for the Saints.
And they missed it, and the Saints now are bringing in extra tight ends as Hobie Brenner and Greg Scales come in. They'll have 3 tight ends, the Saints will, on third and less than a yard.
3 tight ends, and Buford Jordan will be the remaining back with Hilliard.
There's Scales. He caught his first career touchdown pass against the 49ers a week ago. He goes in motion. Play action on third and less than 1. Casillas with a big rush. Hebert will run for the first down. Casillas almost had had a big loss on the play with a great defensive play, but Hebert got out of trouble. Tuggle on the stop, and the Saints with the first down.
You wonder if Tony Casillas wasn't the most surprised guy in the world when he got through on this play. Here he is. He's got Hebert in his sights, but Hebert shows that he's got a little strength as he pulls away and then gets a little bit lucky with a big hole in the middle, just enough to get the first down.
Casillas had his problems, you remember, in camp, stress problems. He left football and came back, seems to be as good as new. Hilliard on first down. He's tripped up by Elbert Shelley, and a penalty marker is thrown as well.
Seeing a lot of holding penalties today, and this is going to be another one, I got to believe.
And another one against the New Orleans Saints. That's 6 on the day against New Orleans.
And you wonder why, and the only thing I can come back
Holding,
to...
number 82, offense.
John Tice.
Is that it's the end of the year that players are tired, so what happens is you start to reach for your guy instead of running through the block, instead of taking that extra step, and you're seeing a lot of tired ball players out here. The Saints, Jim Mora, he said that's one of the reasons they've gone flat lately. He felt that the team was just overworked.
6 holding penalties, actually 7. One was declined by the Falcons. So that will set the Saints back to their 23-yard line. 1st and 20 for New Orleans. Clock running, 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go in the third quarter. Over the years, no love lost between these two teams. Hebert trying to get some of it back, and he does. Eric Martin. And he gets 14 of those 20 back. Scott Case on the play. We haven't seen Eric Martin catch too many today.
No, he's only got about 2 or 3, and he needs just a couple more yards to beat Wes Chandler's record. Actually, he's tied Wes Chandler's record with that 14-yard reception. I played with Wes in San Diego, as I did with guys like John Jefferson and Charlie Joyner, and people always want me to compare them and say who's the best. Well, I can tell you one thing. Wes Chandler was the best at running with the ball after the catch. Tremendous moves, great open field ability.
2nd down and 7 on the 36. On the delay, Dalton Hilliard. He'll be left with 3rd and about 4 or 5 as Tuggle and Andre Bruce make the play. All right, we've been showing you the scores of the Giants and the Eagles today. Let's update them. The Giants trail the Jets 20-7, and the Eagles lead the Dallas Cowboys 17-7, both games in the third quarter. Now, if the Giants lose and the Eagles win, games go on the way they are right now. Philadelphia will win the division. Now, the Giants can win a wild card if they lose the game, if the Rams lose. So they're going to have some interest if the scores stay as they are in that LA-San Francisco game later on today.
All they had to do was win, though, to win the entire division. I wonder what's happening in New York.
3rd down and 3. Hilliard has the first down. Close to the 45. Tuggle and Casillas and Williams all there. You know, it's interesting as we get a minute to go in this third quarter, Dan. Philadelphia had a chance to win the rest of their games to capture the division, lost to Washington. We saw what New England could do yesterday. It seems that teams that have their own destiny in their own hands are stumbling in the latter part of the year.
And then you have this ball club right here, the New Orleans Saints, who just 2 weeks ago had a 2-game lead on those 49ers, and they struggled. So it seems like the worst position to be in the NFL this year, first place.
Look at Minnesota. If they had won last week against Green Bay, all they needed was a win over the Bears Monday night to capture the division. We can go on and on.
I guess that's why they call it parity.
1st and 10 for the Saints on their 45. 23 seconds to go in the third quarter. Lonzel Hill makes a nice catch just shy of midfield. Scott Case makes the play, and the clock stops with 18 seconds remaining. So Bobby Hebert looking toward the sideline. The Saints have held the ball, by the way, nearly 7 minutes on this drive.
Getting back to what has happened in the NFL this year, if you're looking forward to tonight's game against the 49ers and Rams, you might go put the mortgage on the Rams. Here the 49ers are in great shape with a win tonight, but if they don't, Rams could sneak in there.
2nd down and 6. 7-6 the score. Waning seconds of the third quarter. Here's Jordan in motion. Up the middle is Dalton Hilliard. a fake, and there goes Hilliard. Inside the 30 to the 25-yard line. And the clock will run down in the third quarter. Shelley on the stop, and Bruce missed the tackle. But that's the end of the third quarter with the score, the Saints 7, the Falcons 6.
This play, Dalton Hilliard is at the halfback on the right-hand side. He's going to go out on a just a hook pattern. There's Andre Bruce coming over. He read the play, but he didn't break down to make the tackle. Hilliard's having an outstanding afternoon, and you can see why. That 26-yard reception is his longest reception of the year. As long as before that was 25 yards.
And Hilliard earlier had a 36-yard run, which was his longest run of the year. So Dalton Hilliard out of LSU having a fine afternoon on this, the final week of the season. 94 yards rushing. He's caught 5 passes for 59 yards, including the only touchdown in the game.
Well, it appears he's going to have a lot of time to rest up from this afternoon. But the Philly score holds.
There's the drive. 11 plays already. 1st and 10. 3 tight ends for the Saints. Buford Jordan trying to get outside. Rick Bryan had a shot, and ultimately it was Tuggle and Joel Williams inside for the Atlanta Falcons.
Pocket to 22. It's a gain of 3. 2nd and 7.
This is the type of offense that Jim Moore saw earlier in the year when they were rolling to that 7-1 record in the first half of the season. Great ball control. They're running the ball effectively, hitting some short passes to the backside of the receivers. In fact, today's game, the Saints really have played the way that Moore has wanted them to play all year long.
2nd and 7 at the 22. Saints are threatening here. Jordan. Close to first down yardage near the 15. Mike Gann on the stop. Dalton Hilliard suffered a cramp, and they expected he'll get back. Meanwhile, Jordan with a 44-yard run today. He and Hilliard have really been the keynoters for the Saints. He's gained 68 yards, has Jordan. Missed by a yard.
They've also had a large edge in time of possession coming into today's game. The Saints ranked number 2 in the entire NFL behind Chicago in time of possession. So that's what Mora wants. That's what he's getting.
And in this game, they've had the ball for some 5 minutes more than the Falcons. 3rd down and 1, New Orleans on the 16 of Atlanta. Defensive play. Martin was the intended receiver, and Elbert Shelley, who had to come in for Robert Moore, the strong safety, when Moore went out with a sprained knee, has played well.
But if Martin had made this grab, it wouldn't have counted because he's going to be forced out of bounds by Shelley, and Hebert just throws the ball anyway. There you see the hats from the referees. That signals that the receiver is out of bounds, and if he comes back into play, he's an ineligible receiver.
That's the first incompletion thrown by Hebert in this half, and now Morton Anderson, who has missed 2 of his last 3 field goals. Jim Morris said, I'm still as confident as I can be. We'll try a 34-yard kick. Brian Hansen will hold. High snap. Anderson's kick is no good. It is off to the right as Anderson is still having trouble hooking his field goal attempts.
He hooked 2 last week against the 49ers.
Still 7-6 New Orleans.
Hansen's a holder. He's going to get a high snap from Joel Hilgenberg, but Morton Anderson's a power kicker. And if he's a golfer, you would say that he's coming through too hard with his left side, and that's why he's hooking the ball.
He knew he had problems on grass, but this is a tough thing, having problems in his home stadium. 1st and 10. Atlanta on the 20-yard line. John Settle, who has gone over 1,000 yards, picking up 5 yards. Ricky Jackson on the stop. This is only the 2nd possession of the second half by the Atlanta Falcons. That Saints drive, which wound up with nothing, they consumed 8 minutes and 24 seconds, 74 yards.
But they came away with nothing, and the fans here are going to be saying, who dat kicker?
2nd down and 5. Still 7-6. Chris Miller has Settle out of the backfield. Settle driving for the 1st down. And he's got it down to the 37. Pat Swilling and Joe Colbrand on the play. The NFC West race, of course, affected by this game. The 49ers play the Rams later on, and the 49ers will clinch the division title if they beat the Rams or if the Saints win. You know, the Rams are rooting for the Falcons in this game because a two-way tie at the end between the 49ers and Rams would give it to the Rams. Three-way tie, well, the 49ers win that one. First down on the 37. Chris Miller under pressure. Gets away from Wilkes. Completes it to Lang, who takes a lick at the 42-yard line by Ricky Jackson, but holds on.
Miller has still not found a wide receiver for any of his passes. He does a nice job of avoiding the sack by Wilkes on this play, and then shows his athletic ability. He was looking down the field, though, for a wide receiver. Lang's the only man he can find. Now watch this lick by Ricky Jackson as Lang turns around. Hello.
Gene Lang has really had a fine game. He has caught 6 passes. Some of them have been tough passes, and really has held on every one of them. Second down and 6 Falcons on their own 41-yard line early here in the fourth quarter. And Settle goes out of bounds. And that's a first down for John Settle, who continues his fine running. Keep in mind, though, that he had gained only 45 yards total in the last 2 games in the losses to the 49ers and the Rams.
Settle plays like a veteran, though. Did you notice at the end of that play, he got to the corner, seeing what he needed for the first down. The chain markers were right there. He kind of did a little tippy-toe dance to pick up the necessary yardage.
He's got 53 yards on the afternoon. Falcons trail the Saints 7-6. They have a first down close to midfield. They're on their own 47. Settle driving for maybe a yard. The AFC battle is interesting. You know, Cincinnati has already won the division, but with Houston leading 23-7 and Buffalo leading Indianapolis, the Browns would be eliminated, and it could be a New England-Houston wild card battle if things go as they are right now. Houston has already clinched a wild card berth, but if they win today, they don't have to worry about going back to Cleveland for a rematch next week.
Yeah, they'll get the Patriots in their house of pain down there. A lot better than playing in that ice of Cleveland.
You know it. Bobby Hebert getting set for the next time the Saints have the ball. Second down and 9 for Chris Miller. Play fake. He's got time. And he completes the pass to Gene Lang again. And a first down for the Falcons to the Saints 40. A gain of 12 yards. Jackson and Colbrand on the stop. Good protection for Chris Miller.
Really, the key to that play was his protection, but also Gene Lang improvising down the field on his pass pattern. Good pressure here from the Saints, but Miller gets outside the contain. Now watch Lang find an opening in the secondary. He sees the double coverage come over. Colbrand can't make the grab on him, and Lang's there, makes another tough catch in a crowd.
He's been the big offensive force passing-wise as a receiver for the Falcons. First down on the Saints' 40-yard line. Miller on a slant-in pattern, and the pass to Dixon is incomplete. Waymer on the coverage.
Falcons told us earlier in the week that they wanted to simplify their offense for this game and just come out and get off the ball and get after people. I think they may have simplified their passing attack just a little bit too much.
Miller, though, has been hot lately, has completed 6 of his last 7 passes. When asked for the high notes of the year, he said, beating the 49ers on the road. I played a bad game against San Francisco when I began my career out there. And, of course, the winning score to beat the Eagles in the waning seconds. Second and 10. And the give is to Settle. First soft tackle, and John Settle inside the 35-yard line. It'll be third down and 4 now for the Falcons as Wilkes and Brett Maxey make the play on free agent John Settle, who has gone over 1,000 yards today.
Getting back to Chris Miller for a minute, he said that some of the intangible types of things that he's accomplished this year is he's earned the respect of his teammates. He's shown them that he can be their leader, he can be their quarterback, and he also personally has gained a great deal of confidence.
Third down and 4. just before Miller, with quick thinking, has enough for the first down and the first catch by a wide receiver today.
This may be quick thinking, but it's also fear. He thought he had someplace to run over there. He found a nice little hole, and there is Dixon for the reception. But Miller had to be the most surprised person in the world when he turned around and saw a couple of Saints there. Fortunately, his offensive line stayed with him. Mike Ken gave him a nice block, and he got up through the hole and found the wideout.
First time the wide receiver has caught a pass. Shows you what Lang has done today in this department. Here's Settle. Swilling grabs him right away on first down. Time down to 8.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. 7-6, the Saints cling to a lead. They had a 7-0 lead after 1 quarter of this game. Since then, 2 Greg Davis field goals have narrowed the lead to 1.
The way this game has developed in the second half with all the ball possession and ball control, you almost get the feeling that the Falcons are just getting in position now with 8 minutes to go for the winning field goal.
Morton Anderson, of all people, missed a 34-yarder that would have given the Saints a little breathing room, but a field goal would give the Falcons a lead. Second down and 9. Miller, under pressure, throws it away. Bruce Clark. They come in on him. The crowd is looking for a intentional grounding call. There are no eligible receivers out to where he threw the ball.
The man he wanted to throw the ball to was John Settle. Settle was busy picking up some of the pressure that was coming in. Miller looked out to his screen. All he had was 3 linemen out there, but he did throw the ball away early enough so he wouldn't have been called for the intentional grounding.
Third down and 9. You saw Bruce Clark come off the game. He's out of there. So this drive, nearly 5.5 minutes for the Falcons. On the draw play, John Settle. And he'll be shy of the first down, but in good position for Greg Davis to come on for the Falcons and attempt to give Atlanta their first lead of the game. Brett Maxey made the stop on Settle.
Maxey made a fine play reading the draw play and plugging the hole. You wouldn't expect the weak safety to be up there, but he did read it in time to make the play.
Davis, who had been in a slump, is 2 for 2. This will be a 39-yard attempt. Holding is Chris Miller. This to give the Falcons the first lead of the game. The kick is up, and it's good. And Marion Campbell and the Atlanta Falcons lead for the first time in this game, 9-7 on the strength of Greg Davis's third field goal. 7:14 remain. Don't forget, noon Eastern time next Saturday, the John Hancock Sun Bowl, Alabama against Army. Army has done well in recent bowl games, including a victory over Illinois at the Peach Bowl, tied against the Cadets. Meanwhile, it'll be Greg Davis kicking off for the Falcons, who lead for the first time in the game, 9-7. Gene Atkins, 5 yards in the end zone, decides to run it out after a hesitation. Penalty marker down, and Atkins is stopped himself beyond the 15-yard line.
That hesitation threw off the blocking. It may have been responsible for this flag here.
Jim Gordon made the tackle. Here's Pat Haggerty. Another penalty against the Saints. And we'll return to the Superdome after this word from your local station.
Duracell, the copper top battery. It now lasts 30% longer. And by the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet.
Jim Mora on the sidelines for the Saints. First and 10 for New Orleans on their 8-yard line. Trailing the Falcons 9-7 with 7:04 remaining in the fourth quarter. Shadow of his own goal line. Hebert going deep for Tice, the tight end, and overthrows him. Joel Williams and Scott Case were downfield. Crowd not pleased here. In fact, they've had over 8,000 no-shows, and that's the largest amount of no-shows at a Saints game this year. And as we told you earlier, they sold out all their home games.
They really got spoiled coming off of last year's 12-3 record, where they won about 9 games in a row. 3 in a row this year, though, that they've dropped.
Well, Jim Morris said, I'm not even thinking of playoffs, even though we have a chance. He says, but it's important for the Saints to finish 10-6. He made that point. 10-6 looks and sounds a lot better than 9-7.
92 yards looks like a long way at this stage, too.
Second down on the 8-yard line. Here's Dalton Hilliard. And Hilliard is stopped by Charles Dimry in the game. Right now, for an update, let's check in with Brent Musburger in New York. Brent?
Well, Dick, this is the play that kept the Giants in the game here. Watch Baker circle behind Phil Simms. Watch the top of your screen. He works himself wide open. The flag was against the Jets. It's 2014. Let's go back now to Dick.
So the Giants are a touchdown and a conversion away from taking the lead after trailing most of the way against the Jets. Meanwhile, the Saints trying to muster something here. 3rd down and 5 on their 13-yard line. Hebert gets hit as he lets go of it. Lonzel Hill was his intended receiver. Greg Brown, though, was all over him and great pressure. And the Saints offensive line really not doing the job today except for opening up running holes for some of the runners, but pass protection, something else.
We talked about Greg Brown being the only really healthy offensive lineman. Here he's working against Steve Trapillo, and he just overpowers Trapillo and gets his left arm right in Bobby Hebert's throwing motion.
So Brian Hansen will come in and kick from the goal line, and Evan Cooper poised to give the Falcons ideal field position. Good kick by Hansen. Sends Cooper back to his own 38. Runs into a crowd just shy of midfield, and Joe Colbrand makes the stop, a 49-yard kick. But with 6:03 to go, the Falcons with the lead have good field position.
This is where the fun starts.
Well, the Falcons in front. John Settle with 65 yards rushing, the first NFL free agent to go over 1,000 yards for the season. But the story of the game, a miss by Anderson, but really it's been Greg Davis who had hit on only 2 of his last 6 field goal attempts. He has hit on 3 today, and with 6:03 to go, 9-7 Atlanta leads in the ball game, and the wrong guy is being the hero with the foot today, Dan.
Well, you've seen it quite a bit this year. San Francisco, Koford, great kicker, kicked well against Morton Anderson and the Saints. Lansford for the Rams has had a great year, and now Greg Davis, also NFC West, has kicked well. You wonder about the pressure on Morton Anderson. He's almost like the gunfighter, being challenged every week by the other kickers in the conference.
He hooked 2 last week. He's hooked 1 right there. And now the Falcons have a first down on their own 48-yard line. Gene Lang is upended on a fine play by Ricky Jackson in the Atlanta backfield. Lang has been a hero for the Falcons as a pass receiver today, getting one of his rare rushing attempts.
Jackson and Swilling have had outstanding afternoons for the Saints. They seem to be in the backfield all day long. They're really holding the Saints defense together.
We're going to run down all the scores for you, so on the CBS Sports Wire, you'll get up to date right here. 2nd down and 9 for the Falcons. And the way they've controlled the ball the last time they had it, 5:27, which is what we have left in the game, may not be too much for them to eat up the clock. Riggs is back in with Settle in the backfield. Miller in the air, going for Settle, and a flag is down. Thrown from the defensive backfield. Covering was Vaughn Johnson.
This flag will be picked up because the ball was deflected at the line of scrimmage by James Wilkes, so there will not be any pass interference called on this one.
Pass was intended for Settle, was deflected by Wilkes.
Chris Miller is not part of the group. As you can see, he has been disinvited from the conference by Pat Haggerty. I'm sure Chris is not going to be happy with that.
I think he's just trying to help the referees out. You know, he's given his side of the story, and he knows what happens. He knows that he couldn't throw a ball end over end like that. Had to be deflected at the line of scrimmage.
You know, if he were to take a Christmas present out of his pocket, maybe they'd invite him.
That'd be bribery, and you know that the referees are above that.
Offensive pass interference, number 81.
Michael Haynes.
That's an interesting call because once the ball is deflected at the line of scrimmage, it's kind of up for grabs, but maybe he pushed off before the ball was thrown.
They'll mark the ball off.
this is really a benefit for the Saints because it stops the clock as well as moves the Falcon offense back a little bit.
Saints have not scored since that first quarter touchdown, and Atlanta has managed a field goal in every quarter from the first, after the first quarter.
Three-run homers there, huh?
Yeah. 9-7. Chris Miller with 5:14 remaining.
And the Saints, instead of taking that penalty, have refused it, bringing up 3rd and 10, or 3rd and 9, and they want that ball back. They don't want to give the Falcons an extra down to get it.
Both teams have the full complement of 3 timeouts left. Morton Anderson would love to get another shot to get back on the beam. He's missed 1. Team trails by 2. 3rd and 9. They swing it out to Riggs, but he can't make the play. And it'll be 4th down. Vaughn Johnson on the coverage.
Well, it appears with that play call that you can kind of tell what the Falcons are thinking. They're going to just punt the ball back to the Saints. They don't believe the Saints can move the ball down the field and get the winning points.
Rick Donnelly will be in to kick it away. And Lonzel Hill goes back. 5 minutes and 10 seconds remain in the 4th quarter. Fine kick over the head of Hill. Will go into the end zone for a touchdown. A 51-yard kick by Donnelly. And Bobby Hebert will come out as the Saints trail when we return. Tonight on CBS, looking for another way to spend your money without leaving home? Watch 60 Minutes. That's followed by Murder, She Wrote. And then on the CBS Sunday Movie, it's a Yuletide reunion of the original cast members of the Brady Bunch in A Very Brady Christmas. That's coming up tonight on CBS. Saints with a first down on their 20. This could be their last-ditch drive of the season, coming up trailing 9-7 with the Falcons. Kennedy marker down. Maybe a free play for Hebert. Flips it out to Dalton Hilliard. Hilliard still going. And close to a first down as he's dropped at the 29 by Elbert Shelley.
This one's going to be against Tony Casillas. He jumped as the nose tackle.
It was Casillas.
Offside. Defense. Decline. 2nd down.
We got to get Pat Haggerty a program.
Can't tell him without it.
Gotta find who these players are.
2nd down and 1 at the 29-yard line. Hilliard will have the first down and more as he's tackled by Tim Green not before he gets to the 36 and another first down. Mike Gann has a groin injury. That's what he's been bothered with lately, and he is out of action. So Greg Brown is playing the left defensive end position. Casillas is the nose tackle. Rick Bryan is in.
It appears if the Saints are going to get in position to win this ball game, that Dalton Hilliard's going to be very involved.
He has gained 106 yards this afternoon, has Hilliard, including scoring the only touchdown in the game. Saints with a first down on their 36. Hebert has Buford Jordan incomplete. And it was the hit that made him lose control, and Jesse Tuggle defending.
There you see Hebert. This is one of the criticisms against him through this losing streak, is that he's too willing sometimes to point the finger at somebody else down the field, either his receivers or his blockers. You didn't hear much about him doing that earlier in the year when they were 7-1. Of course, winning kind of solves all problems.
And that time, though, he was looking to the bench, but he has been yelling at their linemen and receivers. And that's been apparent. 2nd down and 10. Play action pass. Hebert over the top and nearly intercepted. Scott Case was the closest to it. Hilliard, the intended receiver, and the crowd doesn't like it.
Well, Bobby just really eyeballed Dalton Hilliard all the way this time. He's on a crossing route just behind John Tice. There you see him at the bottom of the screen, but there also the Falcons see him. Hebert's very lucky that Scott Case didn't pick that ball up in flight a little bit earlier, or he would have had his 11th interception of the year, and the Saints would have been doomed.
There's Dalton Hilliard, who has gone over 100 yards rushing for the first time in his career, has 174 yards total. Third down and 10 Saints. Big play for them. Inside handoff to Hilliard, and he's not even close. Marcus Cotton on the stop, and the crowd really letting go now as Andre Bruce has to be separated from a couple of Saints. So does Cotton. It's fourth down and Hebert, and the offense remains on the field with fourth down and about 8.
The boos are not for Hebert or Hilliard. They're for the play caller, and that's Carl Smith. Smith, though, knew in his own mind that if they didn't get enough yards for the first down on the draw play to Hilliard, that he was going to go for it on fourth down. The problem is he's got 7 yards to go to get that first down to keep any hope alive.
Mark Patterson, number 88, is in the game with Hill, Martin, and Brett Perriman. Those are the 4 wideouts on 4th and 7 at the 39 for the Saints. Hebert's pass is caught. First down. And it's Lonzel Hill who made a big catch. And a big throw by Hebert as well. 12 yards.
The boos turn to cheers as the Saints execute an outstanding play on fourth down. Hebert, the key to this, though, is the good time to throw. He looks one side. Now he picks up Hill on the crossing pattern. And Hill got underneath Andre Bruce and got the first down.
At midfield, Hilliard. Penalty markers down. And Hilliard ends up picking up a yard for all his trouble. Jesse Tuggle and Elbert Shelley involved on the play, but there's a penalty again. Clock stopping with 2 minutes and 28 seconds to go.
Illegal procedure, 12 men on the defense.
And that's not allowed.
Well, that's a prevent defense, Dick. You get away with it, it's allowed. There's always some guy out there with a striped shirt that it's his job to count how many guys are out there. The Saints, or rather the Falcons that time, got caught with one too many.
As we told you, Hilliard with a career game. He's also scored the only touchdown. And as a result of the penalty, it'll be a first down, 1st and 5 for the Saints on the 44 of the Falcons. 9-7 Atlanta leading. Morton Anderson may be called upon to deliver the kick to give the Saints a lead. 3 tight ends for the Saints. Penalty marker down is Hilliard. Close to the 40-yard line. Shy of a first down by a yard. Tony Casillas on the stop, and that call will be against the Saints.
Well, illegal motion against the Saints as they're just continue to frustrate themselves with these penalties. Here they get a break on the first play, bring up a 1st and 5, and now they're going to even it up with this penalty.
Illegal motion, number 21, offense.
It was Hilliard.
There you see him leaning out of his stance before the ball is snapped, and that's why he got the flag. Lack of concentration there, but you can hardly blame Hilliard. He's had a very outstanding day. He must be a little bit tired.
11 penalties from 94 yards marked off against the Saints. 1st and 10 at midfield. We go to Hilliard again. And Hilliard picks up about 3. Joel Williams on the stop, and we'll have our 2-minute warning. And Dalton Hilliard will need the offseason to rest from the kind of workhorse game he's had. 2-minute warning is here with Atlanta leading.
And we are at the 2-minute warning, 2 minutes.
Working to be the best they can be. Teammates, sponsored by the U.S. Army. 1988.
3 attempts. Morton Anderson will be the Pro Bowl kicker for the NFC. Right now, his thoughts are on perhaps kicking the winning field goal. Each team with 3 timeouts left, and he was kicking them long, 52 yards during practice.
He's thinking 2 things. Either get in the end zone for a touchdown, get me off this hook, or if I'm on the hook, how about a little redemption?
2nd down and 8 for the Saints on the Falcons 47. Hebert has Eric Martin, and Eric Martin trying to get away, but it won't matter. He's got the first down inside the 30. 19-yard gain. Gordon and Shelley defending. Big play for the Saints.
And now that moves Morton Anderson into range. Be about a 45-yarder if he had to kick it now, but the Saints got a couple more plays. Eric Martin has had an outstanding year. You know, he's a lot bigger than he looks out there. He's about 6'1", weighs about 210, a lot heavier than most wide receivers, and he feels that's a key to his big year.
And a record-setting year, over 1,083 yards for Martin. Dalton Hilliard. And Scott Case gave him a hit. He bounced off. The clock continues to run. 1:10 to go. Hilliard is slow getting up and shaking up. And the clock now stops with 1:09 to go. And an injury timeout. Let's see if
that'll be charged to the Saints then, because it's inside of 2 minutes. He was not knocked out of bounds. His forward progress was halted before he got to the sideline, so the clock remained running, but with the injury, the Saints will be charged.
And we'll take a break right now as they work on Dalton Hilliard. He's up, and we'll be back. How Hilliard got shaken up, and it was Atlanta who called the timeout.
Well, Marion Campbell's right on top of things. Hilliard goes out of bounds. Campbell comes in from the left side of the screen here, and now he's yelling at his ball club, call that timeout.
And it might have been an injury timeout, but he called it before. It was an injury timeout, so Atlanta has 2 left. The Giants have taken a lead 21-20 over the Jets. Philadelphia is still leading over Dallas 20-7. Second down and 9 at the 27. Right now, it'll be a 45-yard field goal for Morton Anderson at this point. Hilliard back in the game and gets the call. He's pretty resilient. And Hilliard fights his way inside the 25 as we wind down to close to a minute to go, and time is called by Atlanta. So the Falcons are left with 1 timeout. And Morton Anderson getting set to enter the game. In the meantime, we're going to send it to New York and Brent Musburger for an update. Brent?
All right, Dick, this dramatic turnaround in the Meadowlands moments ago. Sims to Manuel. He has control. Touchdown. They kick the extra point. 4:54 to go. 21-20. Giants over the Jets. Back to Dick.
And you saw the Houston-Cleveland game get close, 23-21 in favor of Houston. You saw that score just before we got it back. Atlanta has only 1 timeout remaining here. So the Eagles, who are handling Dallas handily today, have to be disheartened over that giant comeback against the Jets that give them a 21-20 lead.
Back to this ball game, you got to wonder about the play call here. Will the Saints just position the ball in front of the uprights for Anderson, or will they attempt to throw the ball down the field and get the yards for the first down?
Third down and 6. Saints, they're on the 24. They go to Hilliard. They'll have the first down. Joel Williams on the stop. There's the time remaining. Saints in no hurry. And a timeout is called by Atlanta. They've used up all 3. So the Falcons have no timeouts left, and the Saints are in prime field goal position for Morton Anderson, with the Falcons leading 9-7. Joel Williams over to talk to Marion Campbell.
And I wonder why they used that timeout in that situation instead of saving it for the field goal attempt to put Anderson on ice, to give Anderson a little bit more time to think about his problems with kicking. The other thing that's curious is that the Saints are on the left hash mark. They must feel that Anderson has had his problems kicking from the right hash mark. He has missed his last 3 attempts wide to the right, hooking the ball, so they must think that the left side's the better side to kick it from.
And you know that the 49ers are hoping that the Saints can pull this one out, because that would give them the division title and they wouldn't have to worry about the Rams game, which they play later on tonight. So the 49ers can clinch it, and of course that would kind of take care of the Rams' hopes as well if the Saints win it. But it's 9-7 Falcons. 1st and 10 on the 17 of Atlanta. Right now it would be a 34-yarder. Dalton Hilliard inside the 15. Tuggle and Williams on the stop. Atlanta out of timeouts.
And it appears that Dalton Hilliard has a different agenda. He might want to just score this winning touchdown himself and not leave it up to the kicker. Saints will run this clock down now to about 10 to 8 seconds left before they bring on Anderson for the potential winner.
And of course they want to make sure they have enough time just in case there is a penalty against the offense.
And the fans, they want to see Hilliard at least carry the ball one more time. They're going to give the Saints all kinds of trouble now.
He won't carry it anymore. And now the Saints call a timeout with 9 seconds remaining. That is their first timeout of the second half. And here's Morgan Anderson.
A lot of hopeful applause there for Morton Anderson.
Crowd is on its feet now. He missed the 34-yarder earlier. Has missed 3 in a row, including 2 against the 49ers last week. Joel Hilgenberg will be the long snapper, and Brian Hansen will hold. 9 seconds to go. A 30-yard attempt coming up for Anderson. The game hinges on this kick.
And I bet the Falcons wish they had a timeout here just to put them on ice.
Here it comes. The kick is good. Pick a better way to end a slump, and Morton Anderson's field goal has given the Saints a 10-9 lead.
This is why he's considered the very best in the NFL history. Kept his concentration, kept his head down, and drilled it.
Marion Campbell, who so badly wanted the Falcons to finish on a high note with some body English. That's how he feels, boy. He doesn't mask the way he feels. And the Saints lead the Falcons 10-9 with 5 seconds to go in the game. So the Saints are on the verge of finishing at 10-6. That's the good news. The bad news will be that if Philadelphia goes on and beats Dallas and they're way in front now, it won't help the Saints in their bid to get into the playoffs.
And they'll look back throughout the entire offseason and say, what if? What if we could have just won one of those games in that 3-game losing streak?
The Eagles lead 23-7 over the Cowboys. And with the Giants leading the Jets, that game is not over by any means. But if the Giants win, they'll be the Eastern Division champions. The Eagles will then face the Minnesota Vikings in the wild card game. And of course, in San Francisco, you would hear a cheer go up when Anderson made good on the field goal, because the 49ers are 5 seconds away from capturing the NFC West without having to beat the Rams later.
And you wonder just what that'll do to their game plan later on when they play the Rams.
Anderson will kick off. Bounces off of Elbert Shelley. The clock started. And the game is over. Gene Atkins. And the game is over. The Saints have won it. Well, doesn't look like they're going to be in the playoffs with the Eagles winning. And of course, the Falcons can look forward to next year when I think they're going to be a lot more of a force than they were this year. But the Saints, nothing like going out on a high note, Dan.
And especially with the NFL record for the longest onside kick of all time. Gene Atkins went down about 40 yards and covered it. But a great win for the Saints, especially the way when Morton Anderson came through in the clutch.
Injured Saint on the field. It may be Gene Atkins. We're not sure. Morton Anderson with a 30-yard field goal wins the game for the Saints. So let's update the NFC West. 49ers 10-5. Saints 10-6, but even if the 49ers were to lose, they have beaten the Saints twice and they would capture the division. And the Rams out of luck at 9-6, regardless of what happens if the Eagles win. And that is the end of the game with the final score. The Saints 10 and the Falcons 9. Coming up next, the NFL Today postgame show, where Brent, Irv, and Dick will get you up to date on all the scores and highlights, and he'll have the latest on the playoff picture.